There's too many people in this world, I think, that don't have a purpose and are going from day to day, week to week, month to month. They might even be earning good money. They might even have a good job. They might have quite a good marriage or whatever it might be, but there's something missing. And more often than not, it's because they haven't talked about their feelings. They haven't opened up. They haven't understood themselves. They don't love themselves enough, or they don't really know why they're doing what they're doing. Welcome to the Purpose-Led Leadership Podcast. This episode is slightly different. The guest is myself. I wanted to come on and do an episode dedicated to myself and my own story. So here goes. I was born in a caravan in a place called Burnham, which is near Slough. I distinctly recall being told, although I do have vague memories, so my foster mum told me this. When I was 2 and my brother was 3, my dad came home from work. He used to work the nights on the railway, on the buses at the time, actually. And I was hanging out the caravan window naked, and my brother was there, and he raided the fridge and was sick everywhere. So my dad came home from work, and my mum had abandoned us, and she left us there overnight. And that was the last I saw of her ever since, although I have met her recently, which I'll tell you about in a minute later on in the podcast. So my dad at the time wasn't emotionally capable, intelligent enough, emotionally intelligent enough, financially, or just ready really to take on 2, young children. So I was fostered for 4 years, and that gave me the first real semblance of a family life. And I still speak to my foster mum today. But at the age of 7, my dad felt ready and able to take us back and look after us. So we moved into a council flat with him. He used to work on the railways. So I remember getting up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning and walking to the railway station with him, going to work and then going to school myself, walking to school myself. So, from a very young age, had a very good work ethic, really, or work was instilled in me, or, having to make an effort to achieve something was, in a way, a good thing for me. So then my dad remarried, and that individual, his wife, abused me quite a lot, actually, physically, mentally, was stopped seeing my friends, and various different aspects of abuse. And so the first 2 female figures in my life were not great role models, and it really fucked me up. It fucked me up mentally, emotionally. I felt very shy, very inferior, very unworthy, just very different to everyone else. And we had no money at all, and I was called a pikey at primary school, and often was I had free school dinners as well. So I kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. I just felt very different and very kind of wanted to be on my own quite a lot, really, because I didn't feel I was worthy enough to be part of any group. But I managed to somehow go to a grammar school, which I think really saved me a lot in many respects, because the area we lived in wasn't particularly great, and the secondary school was very rough. So I'm pleased that I went to the grammar school, although I really did not like school. I was excruciatingly shy. In English classes, I would go red if I had to read out anything, or avoid it, or call in sick, and I just had no confidence whatsoever. But managed to get 4 GCSE C grades. The rest were kind of E's and F's, which was enough to get me into college. I did a BTEC Business and Finance, and then I went on to do a degree, actually, in Business and Finance, whilst working at S3. S3, I joined them in 1998 as a 21, 22-year-old. Again, very shy. Walking into this hardcore sales environment was an eye opener. Actually, I distinctly remember the buzz and the atmosphere there was electric. Although it was quite domineering, I'd say. People standing up with their pinstripe suits on their phone, like archetypal, old school boiler room type thing, Ferraris and shiny shoes. It was not what you think I'd go for. But from a very, very young age, I've always wanted to run my own business. And I know I always wanted to do that, and I always knew I could. I think literally from my first memory, I've always had a moment in my mind where I just thought I'm going to be a business owner, business leader. So in that environment, I very quickly became the UK top biller and the worldwide top biller. And over the course of 5 years there, I made that business £15 million with my team as well. Worked my way up to various different levels, and it was a great learning curve for me, and I really enjoyed that. I left there in 2003, set up my own business. I got that to nearly 100 staff, over £25 million turnover, 7-figure EBITDA, 3 offices, 14 industry awards. So we won awards for our profitability and our growth. 3 Virgin Fast 100 awards in a row, which is brilliant. I've been very proud of that, and having lunch with Richard Branson and thinking back, that they were good moments. Also, we're the second fastest growing recruitment company in the UK. I think we won about 11 awards in the space of 3 years. There was a really, really fierce growth period. And then also awards for our culture. So 3 3-star best company awards in a row. And it's hard to get these best company awards, because to get 3 stars is very difficult. To get 3 in a row is another level. We're the second greatest company to work for in Europe as well, which was a bit of an accolade. So very, very pleased with that. And to this day, anyone who worked there, or most people who work there, I should say, still speak extremely highly of that business, in terms of it was ahead of its time. Very, very good average fee, very, very good process, very, very good clients, very, very good culture. And, a lot of the people that worked there have now gone on to build their own businesses very successfully as well. I'm very pleased to say. So it was a fantastic time. And in a 9-year cycle, we got it to that level. And then my business partner wanted to exit, which was fine. So we had to find a vehicle for that, to buy him out and buy some people in. Achieved that, and I became the CEO of the business. And that transaction didn't go to plan in the end, and I kind of lost the majority of the business. I lost 7 houses. I lost access to my children. I got divorced, lost my family home, which was a 6-bedroom mansion with a swimming pool. I lost everything, not just materialistically, financially, but emotionally, mentally. I lost my purpose, lost my identity. And it was a very, very dark time for me, where I tried to commit suicide at least twice, probably 3 times actually, minimum. Now I think about it, one time in particular was a time when I've been thinking about suicide for weeks, months, and the intensity of that was building up and building up. And up until a week before I tried to do this, I was adamant and actually almost excited that I was going to end my life, because my existing life was at the time was so terrible. Notwithstanding, I fully appreciate that my adversity is nowhere near many, many people's adversity, but it's all relative to the individual, right? I couldn't carry on anymore. I just felt I wasn't worthy of living. Bearing in mind, being a very successful CEO, Southwest Entrepreneur of the Year, and to losing it in pretty much an instant and having no identity, it kind of really affected me. And so on a Sunday, I got into my car and had planned out this route to a train station that was a reasonable distance away. For some reason, I wanted to go a little bit further out. It was a 25 or 30-minute drive, and got in the car and it broke down about halfway there. I remember a guy helping me and, thinking, I wish he knew exactly what I was about to do. But it was just a very surreal experience. It's almost like being taken by a hook and being dragged to my death. I just knew it was going to happen, and I couldn't wait to do it. There was no real hesitation, actually, to be honest. So I got to the train station and knew that there would be high-speed trains running past this platform every 25, 35 minutes, something like that. So I got onto the platform and started sort of checking it out, walking up and down, got a few strange looks, and kind of like I was looking over the edge just to check the trajectory of it all, and I think people were sort of wondering, what's this guy going to do? But I tried to keep it sort of covert. But what was going through my mind is very difficult to explain, really. I think there's a vacancy, and I was very bereft in general, in my heart and my soul, and just, you know, I've spoken about this before, and a lot of people deem suicide or suicide ideation in general as selfish. And I'm sorry, that's just a lack of experience and knowledge and understanding of being in that position. You can't judge or describe anyone or anything like that unless you've been in that position yourself. It isn't selfish. If anything, your mind tells you, and you think that it's selfless because you feel you're such a burden to other people. Until you understand that, you know, I don't think you should really comment personally. You know, I've got young children, and I'm very, very, very aware of the impact of me leaving would cause. And anyone who knows me knows. If you look at my Instagram, my Facebook, you know, or anyone who knows me, you know, I love my kids, obviously, and it has to be something really fucking intense, right, to want to end your life when you're a parent, or end your life anyway. So it was a real dark moment. So the high speed train started to come. I looked in the distance. All right, this is it. This is my chance, if you like. But then it started to slow down. It suddenly slowed down, and it stopped at the station. I was like, oh, okay. I remember looking at the train thinking, fuck, that is definitely going to kill me. If I get in front of that, it's just like, it looked massive and really like, oh, I think it's going to be an instant death. So it's almost like, well, okay. And then it pulled away, and then the next one was due very, very soon. And I was like gearing myself up for it. And then I got a phone call, and it snapped me back into reality. And I kind of got back on in the car and drove back. And obviously to this day now, I'm absolutely delighted. It's an understatement that I didn't go through with that, but I wanted to share that with you, and talk to you about how that experience affected me. So soon after that, I got divorced, and that enabled me to have some time to myself, which really then was the launch pad for me to start looking at things a bit differently, and really start to evaluate myself. And for the first time in my life, I think I was looking back and going, actually, Chris, you're a fucking good guy. You're very successful. Even though I got to like 25 million, I got to 5 million, 10 million, 15 million, 25 million. Every time I got there, I didn't really feel like it was an achievement. So it was almost like nothing I would ever do would satisfy me. You know, I had more money than sense back then. Millionaire at 27, 28, buying 30 grand watches. You know, I had 3 different Range Rovers, holidays, cars. I could buy whatever I wanted effectively. I don't think I appreciated that or recognized that. And I put all my effort into work, and it was a bit like, when am I ever going to be satisfied? So I look back and think, whilst those achievements were really good and great and fantastic and phenomenal, I think they were driven by the wrong purpose, or not even driven by a purpose. They were driven out of kind of shame, fear, trying to prove myself to somebody, probably my mum. So in a way, what my mum did and what my stepmom did give me my drive a little bit. And I kind of said to myself, what have I got to lose? You know, so in a way, I see that as I do see that now as a gift. And I remember tracking my mum down as well. And funnily enough, she moved. She only lived like about a mile away from my old house, but she also moved to Bristol, which I found out for over a year and a half. And I live in Bristol and didn't even she'd never sent a card, never made a phone call, never did anything, never made any effort. So there's me, 40 years later, whatever it is, knocking on her door. Hi, Mum. And she was. I think she was pleased to see me. We had a chat for about an hour, but essentially she said it wasn't anything to do with my dad, it wasn't his fault. She just didn't want the burden of being a mother to me and my brother, which didn't surprise me really. But there was I felt there was no connection at all. Actually, there was no bond, and I'm very pleased that I did actually do that, because it kind of drew a final line under it in terms of I didn't kind of blame myself anymore, because naturally, you're going to feel a range of emotions when your mum abandons you and doesn't even bother with you. And then your dad, then you're fostered, and you kind of feel rejected, right? So she didn't even ask my number when I left. I was like, okay. So that was that. And then I took this time out after, losing the business and the houses and the finances and the identity and the purpose and the confidence. There's a lot of shame around that. So it took me a while, like 5 years, to kind of sort of put my head above the parapet, really. So I came back onto LinkedIn, and then I was asked by a peer in LinkedIn, in my network, a good guy that I know really well, another coach actually, asked me to do a webinar. And I chose on the subject of my choice, and I chose vulnerability and leadership, and it went down really well. It was a good webinar actually, and I talked about various aspects of vulnerability, and that kind of gave me an idea and a belief that actually the power of my story and who I am, I can utilize that, because A, it's me, and B, I feel there's a lot of broken leadership out there, and the reason why businesses aren't growing are usually because the leader or leaders are not just being vulnerable, but they're wearing a mask like I used to do. They're being dictatorial. They're asking people to do things they're not prepared to do themselves, and kind of so utilizing all my strengths and all my successes on how I built that huge business, but also utilizing where I went wrong. And I think you can learn more from how not to do things and how to do things as well. So I built, over the last 3 to 4 years, I've built this very successful, renowned and well-respected NED business. I've got a huge portfolio of clients, and I'm very well referenced now, which I'm very proud to say. So I go into businesses and I help them grow. I help them draw up and articulate their vision, their mission, their values, their career development plans, their hiring strategy, their talent acquisition, their BD, their networking, their operations, their marketing, the whole lot. And I think one of the other reasons why I'm successful as well is because I feel I'm quite unique in the marketplace. But last week I did a deal. I placed a marketing director myself. So even though I do what I do, I still love doing the do. I think that helps. So, last week I was holding a training course, or 2 weeks ago, on how to kind of take a job spec candidates in. And 3 days ago, I was chairing a board meeting. And 4 days before that, I was doing a complete leadership board restructure and development program. So, and I've been there and done it. So, I've built a business from scratch to sale, and I thrive. And I get a lot of excitement now, and I feel as if this is a new level for me of not just building and running and selling a big business. I'm now teaching, coaching, and mentoring others how to do that as well. And it's through a mixture of my knowledge, my experience, my process. I'm, very process driven, but also, I think my emotional intelligence is a strength of mine, born out of the fact that I've been through lots of adversity and I've had to tune into my emotions. I think that's helped me enormously get under the skin of people at any level. And instead of going straight in to go, right, this is how we're going to grow the business, I like to get under the skin of the individual and find out, what are their pain points, not just in the business, but emotionally as well. And if anyone's listened to my podcast, the majority of my guests, feel comfortable in opening up to me. So I think I've got a, what my adversity has given me is many gifts around, I feel if I'm vulnerable myself, or the leader is vulnerable, then A, it's a superpower, and B, it encourages those around them to be the same. That's what you want. You don't just want to hear all the good stuff, and you don't want toxic positivity either, but you don't want to be negative, but you want to find out what's going on in your head and your heart and your feelings. I think that's really, really important. So yeah, I mean, I love what I do. And I'm also a mental health first aider, mental health advocate, and I'm proud of who I am. So I'm happier now. I'm happier now at 45, living in my 2-bedroom apartment on the river than I ever have been with the mansions and the houses and everything else. Now, why is that? It's because for the first time in my life, up until I think very recently, I can say to myself, I actually love myself. So as an example, I've had to rewire myself. 35, 40 years of thinking and feeling like I'm a failure, even though I've done all these things. So I spent a lot of time and money investing into myself, different coaches, different therapy, checking out what I'm absorbing, looking at my diet, looking at my exercise, but looking at what I'm saying to myself as well. So as an example, I've got a whiteboard in my bedroom. It's got my values on there. One of them is courage and discipline and kindness and empathy. There's 8 values, but there's also some affirmations on there, like I love you, Chris, smile, eye contact, improve, not impress, self-respect is self-control. There's lots of positive vibe, positive mind. There's lots of stuff. So as soon as I wake up every morning and before I go to sleep, I'm absorbing that, and it's really helping. I wake up, I walk into the bathroom, I look into the mirror, I look into my eyes, and I tell myself I love myself, and I connect with myself. And it's so important to do that. Some people listening to this will think, telling yourself you love yourself, isn't that a little bit egotistical? I've been egotistical before. I know what ego is. I know exactly what it is. This isn't ego. This is self-love. This is selfless. And it's about finding yourself and loving yourself. And it was only last week, I was walking to a client of mine, actually. I've got an amazing client in Bristol, I'm fortunate to say. I've got clients in London, I've got clients in America, I've got clients everywhere. But this client in Bristol of mine, I was walking there, it was a sunny day. And I remember this feeling of overwhelming joy coming over me, like to the point where I was getting like shivers and goosebumps and I just felt so much joy and in love for myself. And I was saying to myself, Chris, you've done so well. I love you, mate. And for the first time, I knew I was doing this for myself. I wasn't doing it for anyone else. I didn't care what anyone else thought. It's what I thought and felt about myself. And when you get to that feeling, that's success. It's not about the size of your car, your watch, your house, your office. That's all great. It's what you feel about yourself, what you think about yourself, the legacy you're leaving on others. And, I now try to base all my decisions on my values now. And that stood me in good stead as well. So I think it's taken a while, and it's an evolution. And this is why I keep banging on about purpose, how important purpose is. If you haven't got a destination or purpose, which can evolve and move and shake, I don't think you're ever going to be fulfilled. Now, the next kind of missing piece in my life is I feel as if I'm happy now. I'm really happy. But there's a long way to go. I don't think you ever find yourself. But I also feel that I've always had the school of thought that you don't need anyone in your life to make yourself happy. And I do agree with that to an extent. But I also now know that to complete me, there is someone out there for me that's going to challenge me and transform my world as well. So, but I don't think I've been ready for that, to be honest, or I've attracted the wrong people in my life. And you are what you think and you feel. And so all the stuff that I've gone through, I'm not looking for sympathy. It's not about that, but it's important. It's important to talk about these things. And there's too many people in this world, I think, that don't have a purpose and are going from day to day, week to week, month to month. They might even be earning good money. They might even have a good job. They might have quite a good marriage or whatever it might be. but there's something missing. And more often than not, it's because they haven't talked about their feelings. They haven't opened up. They haven't understood themselves. They don't love themselves enough, or they don't really know why they're doing what they're doing. You know, some of my clients, or a lot of my clients, and a lot of my customers, you know, after they work with me, they say, wow, you know, what you haven't just helped me grow the business, you've helped me grow myself. Because sometimes they don't even know why they're doing it. And more often than not, it's not about money. It's not about success. It's not about fame. It's about having the freedom to enjoy the passage of time, to spend time with your loved ones, and all the stuff that you do enables that. So, you know, what happened to me was I became rich and successful very, very quickly. And I didn't appreciate money. So I'd get the money and spend it on whatever I wanted. And that's probably why I lost it. I deserved to lose it. So I think it's about looking inward as well. So we can all sit there and go, this happened to me and that person did this. More often than not, even if it's the most heinous thing that's happened to you to a degree, there's always an element of you are accountable for that. And I live by that. I live by looking inward and going, how does it serve me if everything that goes wrong, you know, I look at oh, it's my partner's fault, or she did that, or it was because of that, and he did. Yeah, but you have to look at yourself as well. And I think that's a massive thing. And more often than not, a lot of people kid themselves about that. And I think deep down, you know whether you're kidding yourself or not. So looking inward is a huge one for me on my whiteboard as well. And all the time, and whenever I start to feel feelings of, oh, that person's really let me down, or that person's been this or that, and I'll step back and go, is that really true? They might be going through some stuff themselves, or what role did I play? What part did I play in that? You know, did I actually encourage that, or was I clear in my communication? It's just like, you know, when you get to that level where just worry about yourself. If everyone swept their own door, that our whole world would be clean. So on the money side of things, yeah, I had lots of money, lost it all. And what I'm most proud of now is one of the reasons why I'm so happy is I feel I'm being true to myself. I'm being kind and generous to myself and to others. I'm not driven by money. So I went for a period of resenting it because I lost it and thinking of people who got money, or, you know, they're just out for the money. But that was the wrong thinking. It's my relationship with money that I'm proud of now. So I'm now earning very good money again, because I deserve to earn the money again, because I'm working hard and smart, and my experience and knowledge is delivering those results. But I'm earning the money and I'm thinking, that's great. I'm enjoying the process of receiving that money. So there's a purpose there. And I've worked really hard. I get a reward. What I'm going to do with it now? Oh, I don't know. I might keep it. I might invest it. I might do something with it. Whereas before, it's like, right, let's go out and buy a car or something like that. And don't get me wrong, I love all that kind of stuff. So what I'm trying to say, I think it's as people, we spend a lot of our time in work and a lot of our time chasing the money and chasing all that kind of stuff. But when you get that, if your reward is something based on material things all the time, or there's no reason or meaning behind it, you're just going to forever be climbing this icy mountain of, oh, yeah, I've got a fast car, I want a faster one. I've got a nice house, I want a bigger one. And sometimes it's about experiences and feelings, particularly with the children as well. So I think it's important to treat your children, but I prefer to treat them with experiences as well as gifts. And I think it's really important that you drill this I drill this into my children around time is precious and quality time. So, you know, I set myself different goals as well, in my business, in my personal development, in my health and fitness, in my purpose, in my relationships as well. So it's about being the CEO of your life, I think. And where I went wrong was I was a CEO of my business, but my life was terrible. So I'm very proud of myself and my story. You know, I've had some tough times. I've had parental alienation. You know, my eldest boy, Kieran, is now 22. I remember being in in a pub, actually. It was in a lock-in, actually. This was 15 years ago, I think now. And I hadn't seen him for 6 months because of the situation. And that feeling, I've had this a few times, it's happened to me. That feeling will stay with me forever. Not being allowed to see your children is a devastating thing. And I talk about equitable and equality quite a lot. And I think there's a lot of injustices in this world. I mean, the recent abortion ruling is just abhorrent. My view is that in the round, generally, there's injustices for men and for women. And I'm not going to get into a debate around which one has more or less injustices. But what I will say is that I think curiosity is a superpower. And one of the things I've learned is to open my mind and be able and willing to learn and to listen to people. So having a fixed mindset isn't a good thing. I always believe in growth. I want to grow, I want to learn, I want to develop myself. So I've got a lot of friends now that I class as friends. A lot of them from LinkedIn, actually. A lot of them are female friends and male friends. And I think it's really important to look at the people around you. You know, I've distanced myself from some of my old friend groups as well because they weren't serving me. And I think it's about having that courage. Courage is a massive thing. If the people around you aren't serving you, then you have to look at that. Your clients, your colleagues, your friends, your family, you've only got one life. And, you know, I think it's so important. You're only as good as the people around you as well. So I'd like to kind of close on thanking everybody for supporting me over the last few years, listening to some podcasts. I hope you enjoyed it. The feedback I've got is amazing. And what's next? Well, I think I'm enjoying building my NED portfolio. That's going to grow and flourish, I know. I'm excited about that and where those businesses can go and what the end goal would be for those businesses and hopefully myself for those businesses as well. You know, I'm hoping to be doing some TED Talks, developing my podcast, but growing myself, enjoying being a father, and just watch this space. And I think I'm really happy with and grateful to be given the opportunity to even just talk to you about my story. And I hope it helps one person. And thanks for listening.